Rain drummed against the glass walls of the Bennett & Cole corporate boardroom. The skyline of Manhattan blurred behind Lily Hartman's reflection, pale face, trembling lips, a woman trying to breathe through heartbreak. Her husband, Cole Bennett, sat across the table in a tailored charcoal suit, tapping a Mont Blanc pen against the divorce papers like a metronome of cruelty. His lawyer smirked. Beside him, a young PR executive, the woman everyone whispered about, fixed her lipstick using her iPhone's screen. "Sign it, Lily," Cole said coldly. "Let's end this farce." Lily's hands shook as she reached for the pen. 7 months pregnant, she tried to hide her trembling under the silk sleeves of her dress. The scent of expensive perfume from the mistress burned her throat. She stared down at her name printed in black ink. Lily Hartman Bennett. The name she once believed would last forever. Cole leaned back, voice dripping with disdain. "Don't pretend this baby changes anything. For all I know, it might not even be mine." The room went silent. The words sliced through her chest like glass. The lawyer coughed, trying to hide a smirk. Lily blinked back tears, feeling the baby kick, as if the child could sense her pain. She signed. Each stroke of ink felt like she was burying her old life. Cole pushed the papers to his side, glanced at his mistress, and whispered something that made her giggle. Lily rose from the chair, clutching her belly, and whispered, "You'll regret this." Cole's smirk deepened. "I doubt that." Outside, flashes erupted. Paparazzi catching the moment she walked out, drenched in rain, tears mixing with mascara. Manhattan watched, hungry for scandal. She tried to find her car, but her phone buzzed with a message from her bank. "Your account has been suspended." Her breath caught. Cole had frozen her finances. She stumbled onto the sidewalk, shivering, lost among yellow cabs and umbrellas. The city felt enormous, heartless. She pressed her palm to her stomach and whispered, "It's just us now." Lightning cracked above the skyline. Suddenly, a woman rushed toward her. Naomi Brooks, her old friend and lawyer. "Lily, don't faint. Someone's been trying to reach you all morning," Naomi shouted, steadying her. "Who?" Lily asked weakly. Naomi pulled a soaked envelope from her purse. "A man named Gus Hale. He says he's the executor of your mother's estate. He needs to meet you today, before midnight." Lily blinked, disoriented. "My mother's estate?" Naomi nodded, eyes wide. "He said it's urgent. Something about a will and a trust in your name." Rain poured harder, drowning out the city's noise. Lily stared at the envelope trembling in her hand. For the first time that day, a flicker of hope pierced through the storm. But as a black Mercedes parked nearby, a man inside snapped a photo of her and made a call. She signed it. Proceed to Phase 2. The next morning, Manhattan looked like it had washed itself clean. Sunlight spilled over Fifth Avenue, glinting off Tiffany windows and glass towers. But Lily Hartman sat in Naomi's small law office downtown, eyes swollen, hands clutching that damp envelope like it was the last lifeline she had. Naomi laid out 2 cups of Starbucks coffee. "Drink this. You look like you haven't slept in days." Lily tried to smile. "I haven't. Every time I close my eyes, I see his face when I signed those papers." Naomi sighed. "Cole's a shark. But if this Gus Hale guy is who he says he is, you might finally have something he can't take away." Shray. With shaking fingers, Lily opened the envelope. Inside was a single letter, embossed with gold initials, H.H. Trust, Confidential. Her heart raced as she read, "Miss Hartman, as executor of your late mother's estate, I must inform you that your inheritance conditions will activate on your 30th birthday. However, early release may be granted under specific circumstances, one of which has just occurred." Naomi's eyes widened. "Lily, this could be huge." Lily looked up. "But my mother died when I was 15. I thought she had nothing left." Naomi leaned closer. "Your mother was part of the Hartman family trust, right? That's Manhattan old money. Maybe she hid it to protect you." Before Lily could answer, Naomi's desk phone rang. "Naomi Brooks Law," she said, then frowned. "Yes, she's here." "Who's calling?" Her voice softened. "Mr. Hale?" "One moment." Naomi pressed speaker. A deep, steady male voice filled the room. "Miss Hartman, I'm Gus Hale. I handle the Hartman estate." You're the sole surviving heir. Lily froze. That can't be right. It's more than right, Gus said. But listen carefully. The trust can only transfer if you prove you're financially and emotionally capable of independent life. That means no spousal dependency, no shared assets, no psychological instability that could endanger the heirs. Naomi frowned. Heirs? As in, her children? Correct. Gus replied. If Miss Hartman can demonstrate full guardianship and mental stability within 12 months, the trust will activate in excess of $50 million in diversified assets. Lily nearly dropped the phone. 50 million? But before she could breathe, Gus added, Miss Hartman, someone else already knows. I received an anonymous inquiry this morning about your eligibility. My system was breached. Naomi's jaw tightened. Cole. Lily's heart pounded. He must have seen the letter. He'll try to prove I'm unstable, maybe even unfit to be a mother. Gus's tone grew grim. Then you must stay low profile. The trust's observers are watching. If you're seen as volatile, the board could freeze your claim. A silence hung heavy. Lily looked at Naomi, fear twisting her stomach. So if I break down, cry, or even get angry publicly, I could lose everything? Exactly, Gus said. You must show strength. And one more thing, you'll need a professional assessment of your well-being. I can recommend someone discreet. Naomi scribbled notes. We'll handle this. She just needs time and space. But before Gus hung up, his tone softened. Miss Hartman, your mother believed you'd rise when everyone expected you to fall. Don't let them be right about you. The line went dead. Lily stared out the window. Yellow cabs sliding past Dior and Cartier displays. The world moving like nothing had changed. Yet everything had. Naomi touched her shoulder. We'll fight smart, Lil. But first, we have to get you somewhere safe. Somewhere no one can find you. Outside, across the street, a man in a gray coat lowered his phone camera and walked away, murmuring into his earpiece. Phase 2 confirmed. Send it to Cole. And just like that, Lily realized she hadn't escaped. The game had only begun. By the time dusk settled over Manhattan, the city had turned into a river of headlights. Naomi drove her black Mercedes S-Class down Park Avenue, glancing at Lily through the rain-smeared windshield. Lily sat silently, one hand cradling her belly, the other gripping a crumpled tissue. You need to rest, Lily, Naomi said softly. We'll go to my apartment tonight. It's safer. Lily nodded, staring out the window. The glowing Cartier sign reflected on the glass, reminding her of Cole's promises, the diamond bracelet he once gave her, for being patient. Now, that same bracelet sat pawned in a downtown shop to pay her medical bills. Her phone buzzed. A new message flashed. You think you can hide? You're not fit to raise my child. Her chest tightened. Naomi, he knows. Naomi's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. Ignore it. He's trying to push you over the edge. You heard what Mr. Hale said. They're watching. You can't show weakness. Lily pressed her hand against her stomach. I'm trying. But... She suddenly gasped. Naomi, the baby. The car lurched as Naomi slammed the brakes. Lily? Lily doubled over, pain slicing through her abdomen. Something's wrong. My stomach. Oh God. Naomi's instincts kicked in. She pulled to the curb, hazards flashing, and dialed 911. Pregnant woman, 30 weeks, severe pain, possible preterm labor. Park and 58th, hurry. Rain poured harder, drowning her voice. Within minutes, the wail of an ambulance cut through the storm. Paramedics rushed out, lifting Lily onto a stretcher, her vision blurred with pain and light. Naomi climbed in beside her, clutching her hand. As the ambulance sped through the streets, Lily whispered, Naomi, if something happens, promise me you'll protect them. Don't you dare talk like that, Naomi said fiercely. You'll be fine. Lily's phone vibrated again. A new message. Maybe the world would be better without you. Naomi's face drained of color. That psycho. He's a strain. But before she could finish, a screech tore through the air. The ambulance jerked violently as another car swerved into its path. Metal screamed against metal. Lily was thrown sideways. Naomi hit her shoulder against the wall. The sirens died mid-howl. Smoke. Glass. Silence. When Lily opened her eyes, she was upside down, still strapped in. The paramedic groaned beside her, unconscious. Naomi's voice echoed faintly from somewhere outside. "Help. Someone help us." Tree. Through the shattered door, Lily saw a man standing in the rain, black hood, face hidden. He stared straight at her before disappearing into the alley. Moments later, another car skidded to a stop. A tall man in a dark coat jumped out, shouting to the EMTs arriving at the scene. His voice was calm, commanding. "Get the stretcher. Move carefully. She's pregnant." Lily tried to focus. The man leaned closer. His eyes, gray and steady, met hers. "You're going to be all right. I've got you." Kanta. Her vision faded as she heard Naomi say, "That's Ethan March, the billionaire investor. He was right behind us. He saw everything." Ethan's voice was the last thing she heard before losing consciousness. "She's not dying tonight." But as she blacked out, the paramedics discovered the ambulance's brake line, cleanly cut. This wasn't an accident. It was a warning. The next thing Lily felt was the blinding white light of the emergency room and the sound of her own heart monitor racing. The antiseptic smell burned her throat. She tried to move, but pain ripped through her abdomen. Someone pressed her shoulders gently back. "Easy, Miss Hartman," said a nurse. "You've been in an accident. You're in New York Presbyterian Hospital. You need to stay calm for the babies." "Babies." The word echoed through her haze. "The babies?" she whispered. Naomi appeared beside her, one arm in a sling, eyes red but alive. "They're trying to keep them in for a few more weeks, Lily. Just breathe." "When?" But the doctor's expression behind the mask was grim. "We can't wait." Her placentas ruptured. Prep for emergency C-section. The room exploded into motion, nurses wheeling trays, lights flashing, a beeping monitor screaming like an alarm clock for survival. Naomi squeezed Lily's hand. "I'll be right here, okay? You're not alone." Lily nodded weakly, her voice trembling. "If they're born early, will they make it?" The doctor didn't answer. Moments later, she was rushed into the operating theater, surrounded by sterile walls and buzzing neon lights. The anesthesiologist leaned over her. "Deep breaths, Mrs. Bennett." "Not Bennett," she whispered, eyes fluttering. "Hartman." A faint smile flickered under his mask. "Hartman, then. You're safe now." Through the haze of pain and medicine, Lily heard the doctor's voice. First one's crowning. "Ready, push." A tiny cry pierced the air. Then another. Then one more. 3 cries, overlapping, uneven, but alive. The sound filled the sterile room with something bigger than hope. Nurses murmured, "Triplets all breathing." Lily sobbed with relief. "My babies, they're alive." One of the doctors turned to someone at the door. "We'll need NICU support immediately." That was when she saw him, Ethan March, the man from the accident. His tailored coat was soaked from the rain, his gray eyes fixed on her with concern. "I'm not family," he told the nurse, "but I'm covering all her medical costs. Make sure she has the best care this hospital can offer." The nurse hesitated. "Sir, that's..." "I said all costs," Ethan repeated, his tone quiet but absolute. As Lily drifted in and out of consciousness, she saw him pull out a sleek black card and hand it to the staff. Then his gaze softened when he looked at her. "You're safe now, Miss Hartman. You did it." When she woke again hours later, the storm had passed. The city outside glowed silver beneath the skyline. Naomi slept in the corner chair, beside Lily's bed. Ethan stood looking through the nursery glass where 3 tiny incubators glimmered under pale blue lights. She whispered, "They're so small." Ethan turned. Small but strong, like their mother. Her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you for saving us." He shrugged lightly. "You'd have done the same for someone else." Then his tone grew serious. "But Lily, that ambulance." The brakes were cut. The police found clear evidence of tampering. Her breath caught. "You mean?" He nodded. "Someone wanted to make sure you never made it to that hospital alive." A silence stretched between them, heavy and electric. The hum of the incubators was the only sound. Lily's hand trembled as she reached for the glass separating her from her children. "Then, whoever they are," she said softly, "they just failed." "Pie." But outside that same hospital, a man in a black hood watched through the rain and whispered into his phone. She lived. Phase 3 begins. 3 weeks after the accident, snow blanketed Manhattan like silence itself. Lily sat by the hospital window, her body still weak, eyes fixed on the city lights that shimmered beyond the glass. Her triplets, Ava, Jack, and Noah, slept in the neonatal ward, tiny but stronger every day. She touched the glass bracelet around her wrist that bore their names. Naomi entered, her sling gone, holding a sleek folder. "You ready for this?" Lily sighed. "If it's another hospital bill." "No." Naomi smiled faintly. "It's not. It's the meeting Mr. Hale scheduled. He's coming here with the board trustee." "Board trustee?" "Yeah," Naomi said. "Apparently, the inheritance isn't as simple as cashing a check. It's tied to a corporate trust, Hartman Holdings. Dadu." Before Lily could process that, the door opened. Gus Hale stepped in gray hair, tailored navy coat, posture of a man who'd carried secrets for too long. Behind him was another man, tall, sharp suit, familiar gray eyes. "Ethan." "Mr. March?" Lily blinked. "What are you?" Gus smiled politely. "Ah, I see you've met. Mr. March is not only the man who saved you, he's also one of the trustees of your mother's estate." The air went still. Lily's fingers tightened on the blanket. "You're what?" Ethan looked uncomfortable. "I didn't tell you because it wasn't the right time. I was appointed years ago to oversee certain trust conditions. Your mother chose me when I worked with her foundation. She said if anything happened to her, she wanted someone who understood integrity, not greed." Gus laid the folder on Lily's lap. "Your mother, Margaret Hartman, left behind controlling shares in Hartman Holdings, several Fifth Avenue properties, and a long-term investment fund valued at approximately $50 million. Lily's breath caught. "That's impossible. She lived so modestly." "She hid it," Gus said softly. "She wanted you to grow up humble. The inheritance activates only if you live with independence and moral clarity, qualities your mother admired." Ethan added, "She designed this to protect you. But Lily, there's something you should know." Gus cleared his throat. "The board reviewed recent press. They're concerned. Photos of you leaving the courthouse in tears. Stories about instability, those could jeopardize your qualification." Naomi frowned. "That's unfair. She's been through trauma." "It's the condition," Gus said. "Public perception matters. Until you prove full stability and guardianship, the assets remain locked." Lily stared at the skyline, fury mixing with grief. "So the man who humiliated me could now cost me my mother's legacy?" Ethan's voice was gentle. "Not if you stay calm and strategic. Let him think you're broken while you rebuild quietly." Naomi leaned in. "We'll set up a holding plan. I'll manage the paperwork under attorney protection. Ethan can handle trust relations." Lily hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Fine. But if this trust is my mother's last wish, I won't let Cole destroy it too." Gus smiled. "Good. Because, Miss Hartman, you have more allies than you realize." Before leaving, Ethan handed her a small velvet box. Inside lay a delicate pendant, silver, engraved with a single word: courage. "She bought that for you before she passed," Ethan said. "I was supposed to give it to you when you were ready." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I don't feel ready for anything." "You don't have to," Ethan replied. "You just have to begin." Par. But as they left, Gus received an encrypted email on his phone. Cole Bennett had filed a court motion, claiming Lily's mental instability endangered the triplets. The war had officially begun. Winter melted slowly into a soft, pale spring. 3 months after the hospital, Lily found herself standing on the porch of a cedar cottage in East Hampton, one of the smaller properties listed in her mother's trust. Waves lapped gently beyond the dunes, the air filled with the scent of salt and pine. For the first time in what felt like forever, there was silence. Inside, the cottage looked nothing like her old life with Cole. No marble floors, no sterile perfection. Just wooden beams, pale linen curtains, and a fireplace crackling beside a rocking chair where 3 bassinets stood in a row. Ava, Jack, and Noah slept soundly, each with a knitted cap Naomi had ordered from Etsy. Naomi, busy unpacking groceries, smiled. "I stocked you up: diapers, formula, baby wipes, and decaf coffee. I know how you like it. Lily managed to smile. You shouldn't have done all this. Are you kidding? Watching you rise again is my favorite revenge. They laughed softly. It felt almost normal. But as Naomi left later that afternoon, Lily noticed a black SUV parked near the dunes. It stayed there for nearly an hour before disappearing. That night, when the babies finally slept, Lily curled on the couch with her Kindle, scrolling through Atomic Habits. She underlined a quote. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. She whispered to herself. Then I vote to be strong. Days turned into weeks. Each sunrise brought a new rhythm. Feeding, burping, writing in a journal. She recorded every detail. Ava's tiny laugh, Jack's stubborn kicks, Noah's quiet curiosity. Healing came in small doses, like the tide reclaiming sand. Ethan visited every few days, bringing supplies and advice. One afternoon, he arrived with a Mont Blanc folder and a gentle smile. The trust audit went through, he said. You're officially cleared for independent management. Lily's eyes widened. You mean I can start making decisions? He nodded. Within limits. You can control Hartman Holdings' public projects. It'll prove your capability. Lily hesitated. Cole won't stop, will he? Ethan's expression darkened. He's filing more motions. Claims you're emotionally unfit and that you fabricated the inheritance. She felt her chest tighten. Fabricated? How low can he go? Lower than you can imagine. Ethan said quietly. But you have something he'll never have again. Public sympathy. That evening, they stood outside watching the sunset. The sky blazed with pink and gold, reflecting in the glass of Ethan's parked Mercedes. He looked at her, the wind lifting her hair. You remind me of my wife, he said softly. Not because you look like her, but because you refuse to break. Lily looked down, her throat thick. She must have been lucky. No, he said, I was. Their eyes met, lingering just long enough to feel something unspoken. Not romance yet, but recognition. Two souls scarred by loss. Later that night, as the house slept, Lily sat by the window with her laptop, drafting plans to reopen her mother's charity foundation. Her reflection in the glass looked calmer, wiser, reborn. But then the power flickered. Once. Twice. The lights went out. She froze, heart hammering. From outside came a faint engine hum. Through the curtain, she saw headlights. The same black SUV parked by the dunes. A shadow stepped out, walking toward the house. She grabbed her phone, whispering, Naomi, someone's outside. The call didn't go through. No signal. Only the wind and her pounding heart. And as she reached for the nearest thing, a baby monitor, a red light blinked on the device that hadn't been there before. Someone was already watching her from the inside. The morning after the blackout, Lily woke to the faint cry of her babies and the smell of salt in the air. The power had returned, but the memory of that shadow outside hadn't left her. Every creak of the old cottage made her tense. By the time Naomi arrived with groceries, Lily's nerves were stretched thin. Someone was out there last night, Lily said, pacing. I saw headlights near the dunes again. Naomi frowned. I'll call local security. You're not supposed to be alone here, Lily. I can't leave now, Lily said, rocking baby Noah. If I run every time I feel afraid, Cole wins. Oh. Before Naomi could answer, a deep voice came from the doorway. You don't have to run. They turned to see Ethan March standing there, wearing a wool coat, snow melting off his shoulders. The SUV you saw, it was mine. I was checking the property after getting a strange call from Gus Hale. Someone tried to access your trust files again. Naomi sighed with relief. You scared the life out of us, Ethan. He smiled faintly. Sorry about that. I didn't want to call in case your phone was compromised. Lily looked up. Compromised? Ethan nodded, pulling out a slim laptop from his briefcase. Your baby monitor was broadcasting through an external IP. Someone planted a signal inside it. It's not random. Lily felt sick. So someone was watching my babies? Yes, Ethan said quietly. But they didn't just want to scare you. They wanted to collect proof, maybe to frame you as paranoid or unstable. It's a psychological game. 2B. Naomi clenched her jaw. Cole's team again. Ethan's tone hardened. Then we fight smarter. I've got a friend, cybersecurity expert, former FBI. He can track the source of this signal. Until then, you're under my security coverage. Lily blinked. I can't let you do that. You've already done enough. You didn't ask me, he replied. I'm doing it because I can't watch him destroy another good person. The words hung heavy between them. For a moment, neither spoke. Outside, the sea roared, waves crashing like distant thunder. Later that day, Ethan's friend, a wiry man named Nick, arrived with equipment. He moved through the house quietly, scanning each device. The signal came from a satellite router hidden under the nursery floor, he said. It's sophisticated. Someone professional set this up. Lily sat down hard. Professional, as in. Nick met her eyes. As in corporate surveillance. Not paparazzi. Someone with money. Ha. Naomi muttered. Cole Bennett money. Ethan exhaled slowly. We'll file a report, but first we cut them off. That night, Ethan installed a new encrypted network. Lily watched him work by the flickering fireplace. His concentration, his calm, his quiet presence. It all felt disarmingly safe. Why are you helping me, really? She asked finally. He looked up, the glow from the fire softening his face. Because I've been where you are. I lost everything once. My wife, my peace. Someone lied, and the world believed it. No one deserves to drown alone. She swallowed hard. Thank you, he smiled slightly. Don't thank me yet. This isn't over. The sound of the wind filled the space between them. The babies stirred, soft sighs filling the warm air. For the first time in months, Lily felt something she hadn't dared to feel: trust. Hours later, long after Ethan left, Lily stood at the window holding Noah. The stars above the Hamptons glimmered faintly. Then, across the dunes, she saw a small light blink twice, like a coded signal. Her blood ran cold. She whispered, Ethan, please tell me that's you. But miles away in Manhattan, Cole smiled at his phone screen as a live feed reconnected, her cottage once again visible through a new hidden camera. Phase 4 had just begun. By early summer, the Hamptons shimmered under sunlight. The ocean breeze carried a quiet promise of renewal. But Lily Hartman no longer trusted calm. She had spent weeks rebuilding firewalls around her devices, legal walls around her children. The fear hadn't disappeared, but it had transformed into something sharper: resolve. That morning, Ethan arrived with a Navy folder tucked under his arm. You've got your clearance, he said, placing it on the wooden table. The trust board approved your provisional management rights for Hartman Holdings. It's time to take your name back. Lily blinked. You mean I can actually run part of the company? He nodded. Not all of it yet. But you'll oversee community projects and PR. It'll prove your stability to the board and to the world. Naomi, joining by video call, clapped. This is your comeback arc, babe. Let's make it cinematic. Lily smiled for the first time in days. Where do I start? Ethan leaned forward. We'll set up an office space downtown. My firm can loan you staff until you recruit your own. Just stay visible, composed, professional. Let Cole underestimate you. 3 days later, Lily walked through the revolving doors of a Manhattan skyscraper, dressed in a cream suit and low heels. The lobby gleamed with marble and light. It wasn't just a building, it was her mother's legacy reclaimed. She took the elevator to the 32nd floor, heart racing as the doors opened to a glass-walled office with sweeping views of the city. A young assistant handed her a Mont Blanc pen. Miss Hartman, the contracts for the Midtown renovation are ready for your signature. Miss Hartman. The name felt powerful again. She signed, steady and sure. By noon, Ethan dropped by to check on her progress. How does it feel? She smiled faintly. Like breathing after being underwater too long. They spent the afternoon reviewing proposals, their heads bent over spreadsheets glowing on MacBook screens. Outside, the skyline stretched endless and brilliant. But just as Lily began to believe things were turning around, Naomi's call came through, voice tight. We've got a problem. Cole filed for joint custody, and he's petitioned the court to evaluate your mental fitness. He's claiming you're delusional, that you staged the surveillance. Lily's pulse spiked. He's insane. We have evidence. Evidence doesn't matter if public opinion turns, Naomi interrupted. He's hired a PR firm. They're already feeding gossip blog stories about your emotional breakdowns. Ethan's jaw clenched. Then we hit back smarter. Facts, not outrage. That night, Lily stood at her office window as Manhattan glittered below. She remembered Cole's words from the divorce hearing. No one will believe you. Now she had to prove him wrong. She began drafting her own press statement. Nothing defensive, nothing emotional, just truth. A mother reclaiming her name. She attached photos of her charity relaunch plans, evidence of her work, her medical reports clearing her health. Naomi reviewed the draft and said softly, "This isn't just damage control. It's redemption." Hours later, the post went live on Hartman Holdings' verified account. Within minutes, it trended. Thousands of comments poured in, women cheering, sharing stories of their own resilience. Lily sat back, heart pounding. For the first time, Cole wasn't controlling the narrative. But at 2 a.m., a notification pinged on her phone, a new email. Subject line, "You can't outsmart me, Lily." Attached was a single photo, grainy security footage of her holding Ethan's hand at the office. Her throat tightened. Beneath the image, one line glared back at her. "See you in court, sweetheart." And as she stared at the screen, the city lights outside flickered. Like Manhattan itself was warning her that her climb had just entered dangerous heights. By mid-July, Manhattan's heat felt suffocating. Every tabloid headline on the newsstand seemed to scream her name. Lily Hartman, unstable mother. Billionaire Ethan, March's new flame. Charity or cover. Up. Cole had done it. He'd poisoned the public against her with polished lies and paid gossip. Inside her office, Lily stood frozen before a wall of glowing screens. Ethan's PR director, a composed woman named Marissa, clicked through slides. "He's framing you as emotionally erratic. He's claiming you're spending trust funds on luxury vacations and leaking photos of you and Ethan." Lily's voice trembled. "But I haven't even left Manhattan." "That doesn't matter," Marissa said. "People don't believe facts. They believe stories, especially tragic ones with villains they can hate. Right now, you're his villain." Naomi stormed in, waving a folder. "I got the custody evaluation order. The judge wants to review your fitness as a mother." Cole's pushing for supervised visitation. He's gone nuclear. Ethan stood in the corner, silent, his jaw tight. He finally said, "Then we'll show them who Lily Hartman really is." He turned to Marissa. "Set up a media slot, a live interview. National network. No tabloids, no gossip." Lily blinked. "You want me to go on TV?" "Yes," Ethan said firmly. "Tell your story. Not through lawyers. Through your own voice. You've been hiding, letting him define you. It's time to reclaim the narrative." No. The idea terrified her. But the next day, she stood under studio lights, heart racing, while makeup artists dabbed powder across her trembling hands. The producer whispered, "We go live in 60 seconds. Across from her sat the host of The Morning View, a show watched by millions. The host smiled sympathetically. "Lily, thank you for being brave enough to come here today. America has heard a lot of stories about you, some cruel, some unbelievable. What's the truth?" Lily took a breath. "The truth is I'm not perfect. I cried when I signed those divorce papers. I broke when I thought I'd lose my babies. But weakness isn't insanity. It's humanity." The host leaned forward. "And what about your relationship with Ethan March?" Lily met the camera head-on. "He saved my life, literally. But he's not my story. My story is survival. My story is 3 babies born too soon who taught me what strength really is." The studio went silent. Even the crew paused. Lily continued, voice steady now. "If people want to call me unstable because I refuse to let my ex-husband destroy me, so be it. But the only label that matters to me is mother." Applause erupted in the studio. The segment aired that evening and exploded online. #JusticeForLily trended within hours. Influencers, mothers, and even journalists rallied to her side. Back in her office that night, Naomi burst through the door, breathless. "You did it. The tide's turning. Even the judge's office is reconsidering the custody review. Lily smiled faintly, tears brimming. Maybe truth still matters. But just as hope bloomed, Marissa rushed in, face pale. We have a problem. She set down a tablet, displaying leaked documents stamped confidential. These just went public. They show large fund transfers from Hartman Holdings to Ethan March's firm, dated last month. Lily's heart dropped. Those were for the foundation's security upgrades. I know, Ethan said grimly. But out of context, it looks like fraud. And Cole just shared it on his verified account with the caption, "She's stealing from her mother's trust to pay her lover." Naomi cursed under her breath. He's framing you again. Lily stared at the glowing screen. All that progress, all that truth, was about to crumble under one more lie. And somewhere across Manhattan, Cole Bennett raised a glass of scotch, watching her live interview replay on his phone. Nice speech, sweetheart, he muttered. Let's see how the world loves you tomorrow. Autumn swept through Manhattan with sharp winds and gold leaves swirling down Fifth Avenue. After months of chaos, Lily Hartman was invited to the annual Children of Tomorrow charity gala, the same event Cole and his PR perfect mistress, Julia, were co-chairing this year. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Naomi slammed the invitation on Lily's desk. This is bait. I know, Lily said calmly, flipping the card. But it's also a stage. If I stay silent, I'm the ghost of his story. If I show up, I'm the headline. Ethan crossed his arms. You understand what you're walking into. He'll try to humiliate you in public. Lily looked up, her eyes no longer soft but steady. Then I'll let him try. Ho! That evening, the Plaza Hotel glowed like liquid gold under chandeliers. Paparazzi lined the red carpet. Guests in Dior and Versace swept past camera flashes. And then, a hush. Lily arrived. She wore a simple off-white gown. No diamonds, no glitter. Just grace. Her hair was tied back, makeup subtle. Her presence radiant. Every lens turned toward her. Miss Hartman, is it true you stole funds? One reporter shouted. Lily smiled gently. The truth has already survived worse lies. Inside, the ballroom was a sea of champagne glasses and whispers. Cole stood near the main stage, tuxedo crisp, Julia clinging to his arm like an accessory. When he saw Lily, his smirk faltered for a split second. Well, he said when she approached. Didn't expect you'd show your face here, darling. She met his gaze coolly. You underestimate me, still. Julia chimed in, her voice sweet and venomous. Careful, Cole. She might live-stream this and cry again. Lily smiled faintly. Oh, Julia, don't worry. I'm saving my tears for people with souls. Ethan appeared beside her, offering his arm. The room's energy shifted. Photographers snapped like wildfire. Shall we? He asked. Cole's jaw tightened. You think parading with another man makes you innocent? Ethan's tone was calm but razor-edged. No. But it makes her untouchable. The band began to play. As Lily stepped onto the dance floor with Ethan, the crowd parted. Cameras captured her every move. Elegance wrapped in defiance. Halfway through the evening, the host took the microphone. Tonight, we honor those rebuilding hope for children in need. Miss Lily Hartman, would you do us the honor of presenting the keynote? Cole's smirk returned. Oh, this will be good. Lily walked to the podium under a spotlight. The ballroom fell silent. When I first started rebuilding the Hartman Foundation, she began. People said I wasn't fit. Too emotional. Too broken. But maybe broken people understand need better than anyone. Tonight, I'm not here to prove my worth. I'm here to honor those who never gave up, even when the world called them unworthy. Applause rippled through the room. Cole's expression hardened. Then, as if timed by fate, Naomi appeared near the back, phone in hand, whispering urgently to Ethan. She'd just received an email from an anonymous sender. A file. Ethan scanned it and froze. He leaned toward Lily as she stepped down from the podium. We've got him, he whispered. What? She breathed. The wire transfers Cole used to frame you, traced back to his own offshore account. He sent them. Her eyes widened. You're sure? Naomi nodded from across the room. Positive. We have digital proof. Lily straightened, heart pounding. The night had just turned. Cole, oblivious, raised his glass toward her mockingly. To second chances, sweetheart. She smiled coldly. To final ones. And as the cameras flashed, Lily knew this wasn't just a gala. It was her battlefield. Tomorrow, the same headlines that crucified her would bury him instead. The gala should have ended in triumph. Lily's speech had moved donors to tears, and Ethan's whispered, "We've got him," echoed like a promise of justice. But fate, cruel and theatrical, wasn't done testing her. As dinner service began, Cole Bennett took the stage uninvited. His tux gleamed under the chandeliers, confidence dripping from every word. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, microphone in hand, "before we celebrate the night, I'd like to correct a small misunderstanding about the woman we've all just applauded." The crowd stilled. Lily froze mid-step. Cole smiled like a politician. "Many of you have read the articles. You've seen the evidence. Large sums missing from her mother's foundation, funneled straight into Mr. Ethan March's company. Quite the modern love story, isn't it? Tragic, scandalous, and profitable." A ripple of murmurs ran through the ballroom. Cameras flashed. Julia, glowing with smugness, watched from their table, swirling her champagne. Lily felt the air vanish from her lungs. Ethan rose instantly. "Sit down, Cole. You've said enough." Cole smirked. "Don't play the hero, Ethan. We both know this woman's been manipulating you, and the system, since day one. Look at her. Perfect lighting, perfect tears. A fraud born for sympathy." The audience watched, captivated by cruelty. Lily stepped forward. Her voice, soft but steady, cut through the noise. "You're right, Cole. I did cry. I cried when you called our unborn child a mistake. I cried when you froze my accounts and left me with nothing. But tonight," she lifted her chin, "I'm done crying for you." Gasps fluttered through the crowd. Cole opened his mouth, but she continued. "Louder now. You talk about love stories. Here's the truth. You didn't lose me because I was weak. You lost me because I finally saw what strength looks like." The room erupted in applause. Even some of Cole's associates turned away, uncomfortable. But Cole wasn't finished. "Touching speech, Lily," he sneered. "Almost makes people forget your mother's trust funded that penthouse you hide in." Ethan stepped closer. "That penthouse was legally transferred under the Hartman estate." "Sure," Cole interrupted. "Maybe she seduced the trustee, too." The words cracked like thunder. The audience gasped. Camera zoomed in on Lily's face, her composure flickering, but only for a heartbeat. Ethan's fists clenched, but she touched his arm. "No," she said quietly. "He doesn't get to pull me into the mud." She turned toward Cole, her voice calm, almost pitying. "You keep using my pain as entertainment, Cole. But the difference between you and me? I heal. You perform." For a moment, silence hung heavy. Then the host, sweating and nervous, took back the mic. "Thank you, Mr. Bennett, but we'll return to our scheduled program." Cole's smirk faltered. The applause that followed wasn't for him, it was for her. Naomi rushed over, phone in hand, whispering urgently, "Lily, the data. Gus and I traced the transfers. It's done. Tomorrow morning, the press gets everything." Lily exhaled shakily. Then tonight, he can have his moment. As she left the ballroom, flashbulbs followed her, but this time, not with mockery. Reporters called her name, voices different now, almost reverent. Outside, cold air bit her cheeks. Ethan caught up to her on the steps of the plaza. "You handled him like royalty," he said quietly. She smiled faintly. "No. Like a woman who's finally done bleeding." 7. But upstairs, as Cole poured another drink, his phone buzzed with an encrypted message. "The files are compromised. She has everything." The glass slipped from his hand, shattering like the empire he thought would never fall. The morning after the gala, Manhattan buzzed with whispers. Every news outlet replayed Cole's humiliation. Every talk show analyzed Lily's calm defiance. But while the world speculated, Lily and Naomi were already 2 steps ahead, buried in evidence inside Naomi's law office on Madison Avenue. Stacks of printed emails, wire transfers, and internal memos covered the oak table. The hum of the city outside barely reached them. Ethan sat across from them, sleeves rolled up, scrolling through a laptop screen filled with digital documents. Naomi muttered, He built a maze of shell companies. Cayman Islands, Zurich, even Singapore. Every cent of the so-called missing trust funds went straight to Bennett Holdings under false names. Ethan leaned in. He knew how to hide it. But not perfectly. Look here, same signature, different date stamp. He forgot to change the metadata. Lily rubbed her temples. So we have proof he fabricated everything. Not just that, Naomi said, sliding a folder toward her. We have enough to show he embezzled from his own company, used the Hartman Foundation as cover, and tried to frame you for it. Lily stared at the files, heart racing. We can finally end this. Naomi hesitated. Maybe. But we need one more piece. A witness inside Bennett and Cole who can verify this paper trail. Otherwise, Cole's lawyers will bury us in technicalities. Ethan nodded. Someone on the inside. The office door creaked open. A timid voice said, "Maybe I can help." So, they turned. A young woman stood there, red-eyed, trembling, clutching a flash drive. "Who are you?" Naomi asked. "My name's Amber. I was Cole's executive assistant." Her voice cracked. "I can't keep lying for him anymore." Lily rose slowly. "You worked for him when?" Amber nodded. "Since before the divorce. I know everything. The offshore transfers, the fake receipts, even the private investigators he hired to follow you. He said he wanted proof of instability. I thought it was business. I didn't know he'd hurt you." Ethan handed her a bottle of water. "You're doing the right thing now." Amber plugged the flash drive into Naomi's laptop. The screen filled with scanned receipts, emails, and recorded calls. One file name made Lily's stomach twist. AMB2104. WAV. Naomi clicked it. Cole's voice spilled through the speakers, cold, deliberate. "Make sure she looks hysterical in public. Leak the hospital records, the crying photos. I want a narrative, the unstable heiress. Once the custody ruling's mine, she can disappear quietly." The room fell silent. Lily pressed a hand to her mouth. Her eyes glistened, but her voice stayed firm. "That's enough," Naomi whispered. "This will bury him." Ethan exhaled, half relief, half fury. "We'll submit everything to the court. And the press, simultaneously. No more waiting." But before Naomi could reply, her phone buzzed. "Unknown number." She answered. And a distorted male voice came through. "You think those files will save her? Try checking your office window." Naomi froze. Ethan turned sharply toward the glass. Across the street, a man in a dark jacket stood on a rooftop, camera lens glinting under the morning sunday. Ethan yanked the blind shut. "He knows we have the files." Naomi grabbed her bag. "We need to move now. The original evidence stays with me. You two go separate routes." "On." Lily's pulse hammered as Ethan took her arm and led her down the back stairwell. Outside, horns blared, the city pulsing like adrenaline. Ethan's car waited at the curb. As they sped through traffic, he said, "Once this goes public, there's no going back." Lily looked out the window, her reflection merging with the skyline. "Good," she said softly. "I'm not going back." "Say." But as they disappeared into the chaos of Manhattan, a black SUV followed at a steady distance. And inside it, Cole watched their every turn, whispering, "Let them run. The next move is mine." Rain hammered the glass walls of the downtown safe house as if echoing the chaos outside. Ethan's security team had moved Lily, the babies, and Naomi there after Amber's flash drive exposed everything. The world outside didn't yet know the truth, but inside that room, it was about to detonate. Amber sat at the dining table, shaking, a paper cup of coffee trembling in her hands. She looked years younger, without the corporate polish of Cole's office. Guilt weighed heavy in her eyes. "I should have spoken up sooner," she said quietly. "But Cole made everyone sign NDAs. He threatened to ruin anyone who crossed him." Naomi nodded. "You're safe now. The FBI's cyber division confirmed the metadata matches Cole's transfers. But your testimony will make it airtight." "When?" Amber's eyes filled with tears. "He recorded everything, including me. He made me lure you into traps, Miss Hartman. Remember the fake email from your doctor about postpartum evaluations? That was me. I was ordered to send it." Lily's breath hitched. "You. Why?" Amber shook her head, sobbing. Because I needed the money to pay my brother's medical bills. But then he told me, if you broke down in public, I'd get a bonus. He wanted photos of you crying. I didn't know he'd go this far. Ethan crossed his arms, his expression grim but composed. You're doing the right thing now, Amber. And that's what matters. Naomi set her laptop on the table. We'll record an official statement tonight, time-stamped and notarized. It'll be submitted to the court first thing tomorrow. Amber wiped her eyes. I have something else. She pulled a small envelope from her purse. This arrived at Cole's office the day after your car crash. I wasn't supposed to open it, but curiosity won. It's a receipt. Ritz-Carlton, Midtown. Room 1412. Paid by C. Bennett 2 hours before your ambulance was hit. Lily froze. The night of the crash. Naomi's jaw clenched. That's evidence of premeditation. Ethan leaned closer. That's attempted murder. For a moment, the only sound was the storm outside. Lily stared at the receipt, her heartbeat thundering. He tried to kill me, she whispered. Amber nodded. And when he found out you lived, he said, Phase 3 begins. I didn't know what it meant then. Now I do. Naomi's phone buzzed. She glanced down and swore. Cole just filed an injunction, claiming we hacked his servers. He's going on offense. Ethan's jaw tightened. Let him. Once this hits federal court, his empire collapses. Amber's voice trembled. He won't stop quietly. He has people, dangerous ones. His head of security, Mason. He's not just a guard. He's ex-private intel. Lily rose from her chair, fire replacing fear. Then I stop hiding. Tomorrow, we release everything. Every file, every call, every bank transfer. He wants a war? Fine. But he'll lose in front of the entire world. Ethan met her eyes. If we do this, there's no protection left. He'll come after you personally. I don't care, Lily said. He's taken everything but my dignity. I won't let him take that too. Lightning flashed through the window, cutting across her determined face like a blade of light. Naomi exhaled. Then tomorrow, we make history. No. Amber looked up. I'll testify in court, whatever it takes. Lily stepped closer, gently squeezing her hand. You're brave, Amber. You broke his spell. That's how monsters die. When the people they control find their voice. But as thunder cracked above the city, no one noticed the black sedan parked across the street, headlights dimmed. Inside, Mason watched through binoculars, murmuring into his comms, target confirmed. Orders remain the same. Eliminate the witness before morning. Halder. By dawn, the sky over Manhattan was a sheet of bruised gray. Lily stood in front of the courthouse in a navy dress, her hair pinned back, the faint tremor in her hands hidden inside her coat pockets. It wasn't just a custody hearing anymore. It was war. Cole Bennett had called in every favor, every lie, every manipulative charm he had left. Inside, the courtroom buzzed with cameras and whispered gossip. Cole sat at the defense table, polished and smug. Julia at his side. He gave Lily that same grin he'd worn the day she signed her divorce papers. Confident. Cruel. Certain she would break again. But she didn't. She took her seat beside Naomi and Ethan, spine straight, eyes unwavering. The judge entered, a stern woman known for her zero tolerance for theatrics. Case number 18-3462, the bailiff announced. Bennett versus Hartman. Custody hearing and fraud counterclaim. Cole's attorney rose first, slick and rehearsed. Your Honor, my client seeks sole custody on the grounds that Miss Hartman exhibits psychological instability and financial misconduct, both proven by her erratic behavior and the leaked transfers from her trust. Lily clenched her jaw, but stayed silent. Naomi whispered, Don't react. Wait for our turn. Then, it was Naomi's move. She stood, voice steady. Your Honor, we have evidence showing those very transfers originated from Mr. Bennett himself, designed to frame my client. We also have a recorded confession from his assistant and forensic proof of data tampering. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Cole's smugness flickered. The judge frowned. You have this evidence ready to present? Naomi nodded. Yes, Your Honor. Including testimony from Miss Amber Lewis, former executive assistant to Mr. Bennett. Cole's attorney scoffed. The same assistant who's under investigation for data theft? Convenient witness. Naomi smiled thinly. Perhaps, but we also have a federal subpoena validating her files and her physical presence here today. The judge nodded. Proceed. Amber, pale but determined, took the stand. Her voice trembled only once. Mr. Bennett ordered me to falsify records and leak personal photos of Miss Hartman to the press. He also paid private contractors to interfere with her medical and financial records. Cole jumped to his feet. Lies. She's being paid to say this. Sit down, Mr. Bennett, the judge warned. Amber continued, voice firmer. He told me, quote, she's too fragile to survive another scandal. One more push, and she'll collapse. Gasps filled the room. Lily blinked back tears but stayed composed. Naomi handed the judge a USB drive. For the record, Your Honor, this contains the original recordings. The judge inserted the drive, pressing play. Cole's voice echoed through the speakers. Make her look unfit. I'll handle the rest. Cole froze. Every camera turned on him. Julia's face drained of color. Ethan leaned toward Lily. This is it. He's finished. But Cole wasn't the kind to surrender. That's out of context, he barked. That's... The judge slammed her gavel. Enough, Mr. Bennett. She turned toward Lily. Miss Hartman, your composure in this proceeding speaks volumes. The court temporarily grants you full custody pending further investigation. Tears filled Lily's eyes, but she held them in. Naomi squeezed her shoulder. As they left the courtroom, flashbulbs erupted. Reporters shouted questions, but Lily didn't stop. She looked at Ethan, whispering, It's finally over. Ethan shook his head softly. Not yet. People like him don't lose quietly. At that moment, Naomi's phone buzzed with a new message. Her smile vanished. It's Amber. She didn't make it to the safe house after court. Her GPS stopped 2 blocks from here. Lily's blood ran cold. What do you mean, stopped? Naomi swallowed hard, eyes wide. Stopped. Completely. And across town, a black sedan idled beneath a bridge, rain tapping against its roof. Inside, Amber's phone glowed faintly on the passenger seat, still recording. The last sound captured was Mason's voice whispering, Orders complete. Rain hadn't stopped since the verdict. It fell in slow, relentless sheets over Manhattan, washing the city in cold silver. For Lily Hartman, it wasn't victory that filled her chest, it was sorrow. Amber Lewis, the one woman brave enough to speak the truth, had been found dead in what police called a car accident. Everyone knew it wasn't an accident, but proving it was another story. Lily stood at the window of her Upper West Side penthouse, holding Noah in her arms while the twins slept nearby. Naomi's voice on speaker was sharp, furious. The NYPD's calling it a brake malfunction. No witnesses. No camera angles. Just another statistic. Pi, Lily whispered. He's silencing anyone who helps me. Ethan's voice came through next, calm but steel-edged. Then we stop playing defense. We don't just prove he's guilty, we dismantle his legacy. Lily turned, her reflection hardening in the glass. How? By building yours, Ethan said. 2 weeks later, the Hartman Foundation for Single Mothers launched with quiet grace in a midtown boardroom. The logo was simple, 3 small stars, 1 for each of her children. The event wasn't flashy. No red carpet, no champagne, just purpose. Lily stood at the podium, wearing a tailored black dress and no jewelry except her mother's silver pendant. Today, she said, voice steady despite the tremor in her heart, we're creating something that can't be bought or broken. Dignity, opportunity, safety for women who've been silenced. The small crowd erupted in applause. Cameras clicked, not tabloid cameras this time, but real journalists. The kind who reported courage, not scandal. After the event, a reporter approached. Miss Hartman, your ex-husband declined to comment on the ongoing investigation. Do you have anything to say to him? Lily smiled faintly. Yes. Thank you for teaching me how much strength silence can hide. The next day, the headlines shifted. Lily Hartman turns pain into power. From victim to visionary. Cole's PR empire began to crack. Investors pulled out of Bennett Holdings. Clients canceled contracts. His mistress, Julia, was photographed leaving his penthouse with suitcases. But Cole didn't crumble quietly. That evening, he appeared live on a business network, his voice measured, his mask flawless. "This is a witch hunt," he said. "My ex-wife is manipulating tragedy for fame. I pity her." Ethan watched from his office, jaw tightening. He's using sympathy as a weapon again. Lily, sitting nearby, didn't flinch. "Then let's use truth as ours." 1. She opened a folder marked Project Reclamation, a collaboration between her foundation and Gus Hale's firm. Together, they were reclaiming properties Cole had fraudulently tied to his company. Each asset returned under the Hartman name was another nail in his coffin. Within a month, her foundation's impact spread across the city. Billboards read, "Dignity is not negotiable, Hartman Foundation." Donations poured in from women who saw themselves in her story. Even the district attorney took notice, reopening Cole's financial fraud case under public pressure. Still, late at night, when the lights dimmed and the baby slept, Lily felt the ache of Amber's absence. She'd light a candle by the window and whisper, "You didn't die for nothing." One evening, Ethan stopped by with takeout and news. "The DA's freezing his accounts. They're raiding Bennett Holdings tomorrow." Lily met his eyes. "Tomorrow? Yes. You'll need to stay out of sight. Once he knows you're behind this, he might try something desperate." Lily nodded slowly. "Let him. I've lived through desperate before." She turned back to the window as Manhattan glowed beneath the rain, her reflection layered over the skyline. For the first time, her life wasn't defined by fear, it was defined by purpose. But somewhere in the shadows, Cole watched the breaking news with a glass of whiskey and a loaded plan. "If she wants to destroy my name," he muttered, "I'll burn hers with mine." For the first time in years, Lily Hartman woke up without fear. The morning sun spilled across her kitchen like gold. The smell of coffee, the sound of giggles from the nursery life, felt real again. Ethan March was sitting at her breakfast bar, sleeves rolled up, feeding Jack mashed bananas, while Ava and Noah played on the floor. "You're getting good at that," Lily said, smiling softly as she poured coffee into 2 mugs. He chuckled. "I'm a fast learner. Besides, they like me better than you right now." She laughed, a sound that had become rarer but brighter. "Only because you don't make them eat vegetables." It was ordinary, simple, beautiful. The kind of peace that once felt impossible. Outside, New York was still wild and ruthless, but in this small apartment, everything slowed down. Ethan looked up. "The foundation's numbers came in this morning," he said. "You hit your first million in donations." Lily blinked. Already, he said, grinning. "Looks like the world loves you, Miss Hartman." She shook her head, emotion tightening her throat. "They don't love me, Ethan. They love the story. They love survival." He tilted his head. "And you are survival." For a moment, their eyes held 2 souls forged by loss, now orbiting the same light. Lily looked away, heart fluttering. "You should eat before it gets cold." He smiled, but didn't move. "You still don't see it, do you?" "See what?" she asked softly. "That you've already won. You're not just surviving anymore, you're living." His words settled over her like warmth. But before she could respond, Naomi burst through the door, phone in hand. "The DA raided Bennett Holdings. It's on every channel." Lily's pulse spiked. "Already?" Naomi nodded, breathless. "They found everything: offshore accounts, fraudulent shell companies, even proof he bribed auditors. Cole's empire is crumbling." Ethan exhaled, relief mixing with caution. "He'll lash out before he falls. Stay inside today. Security's doubling shifts." Lily nodded, hugging Naomi. "Thank you for everything." Naomi smirked. "Don't thank me yet. I like my victories with champagne." As Naomi left, the apartment fell quiet again. Lily sat down beside Ethan, watching sunlight dance across his face. "When this is over," she said quietly, "what happens then?" He looked at her for a long moment. "Then you finally get to choose a life, not one built from fear or survival, but peace. Whatever that means for you." Her chest tightened. "And you?" "I'll still be here," he said, "if you want me to be." Silence filled the space between them, heavy and tender. Then a cry from the nursery broke the moment. Lily stood, smiling through her tears. "Looks like someone's awake." She disappeared into the nursery, lifting Noah into her arms. The baby giggled, tugging at her hair. "You're safe now," she whispered. "All of us are." That evening, they all had dinner together, Ethan, Lily, and the triplets. No business talk, no court filings, no ghosts. Just laughter, pasta, and candlelight. Ethan told stories about his late wife, about grief, about how healing doesn't erase pain but transforms it. Lily listened, feeling something shift inside her, a fragile, glowing peace. As the night deepened, she found herself standing by the balcony, looking at the city lights. Ethan joined her quietly, offering a glass of wine. "To what?" she asked, clinking her glass against his. "To second chances," he said. She smiled, eyes glistening. "And to finally feeling safe." For a moment, there was nothing but the hum of Manhattan below and the heartbeat of something new between them. But far across the city, inside a penthouse filled with empty bottles and shattered pride, Cole Bennett watched their photo on a gossip site and whispered, "Enjoy your safety, Lily, because peace doesn't last forever." By late autumn, the air in Manhattan carried the kind of chill that made the city feel sharper, cleaner, like the truth finally cutting through years of lies. News of Cole Bennett's downfall dominated every headline. Bennett Holdings under federal investigation. Ex-CEO, accused of fraud, embezzlement, and witness tampering. Lily stood on her balcony that morning, coffee in hand, wrapped in Ethan's oversized sweater. She watched helicopters hover above downtown where federal agents were raiding Cole's offices. For the first time, the city didn't scare her. Ethan stepped beside her, phone pressed to his ear. "Yes, Gus. Keep the Hartman Foundation separate from the fallout. We don't want the headlines crossing over." He ended the call and turned to her. "It's official. The SEC froze all his assets. His empire's done." Lily exhaled, her breath misting in the cold air. He built everything on lies. It was only a matter of time before it collapsed. Ethan nodded. "Time and you." That same morning, Cole Bennett arrived at his office to find chaos. Agents swarmed through the marble lobby, seizing computers and files. His assistant wouldn't meet his eyes. Cameras flashed from the street as reporters shouted questions. "Mr. Bennett, are you aware of the federal indictment? Did you embezzle from your own shareholders?" Cole forced a smile, slipping into his Mercedes with the calm arrogance of a man who refused to believe he'd lost control. But when his driver didn't move, he snapped. "Well, drive." The driver turned. It was Mason. The bodyguard's jaw was tight. "We need to talk." Cole's eyes narrowed. "About what?" "The deal's off," Mason said quietly. "You promised me protection, not a prison sentence. The feds came to my apartment last night." Cole's temper flared. "You think you're innocent? You followed orders. My orders. That makes you guilty too." Mason stared straight ahead. "I recorded everything. If I go down, you go down first." Cole lunged for him, but Mason shoved him back against the seat. "You should have paid me what you owed, boss." He opened the door and disappeared into the street, leaving Cole fuming and alone. Back in her apartment, Lily received the call from Naomi. "It's happening. Cole's facing 37 charges. They're freezing his accounts worldwide. He'll lose everything." Lily sat quietly, her children playing on the carpet nearby. "Everything but his conscience," she murmured. "Assuming he still has one." Naomi said dryly, "I'll see you at the press conference tomorrow. The DA wants you there." That night, Cole stumbled into his penthouse, dark, empty, silent. Julia was gone. His phone rang. The caller ID read Ethan March. He hesitated, then answered. Ethan's voice was calm, almost pitying. "You should turn yourself in, Cole. It's over." Cole laughed bitterly. "You always wanted her. Don't pretend this was about justice." "This was never about her," Ethan said. "It was about who you chose to become." "Pies." Cole's eyes burned with rage. "You think you've won? She'll never be clean again. The world forgets fast, Ethan. And when they're bored of her redemption story, she'll be the villain again. You'll see." The line went dead. Cole hurled his phone across the room. An hour later, the lights of his penthouse flickered as he poured a final drink. The city stretched before him like a glittering lie. He walked to the balcony, wind slicing across his face. Cameras below caught the image. The fallen billionaire staring at the skyline that once worshipped him. Meanwhile, in Lily's apartment, Ethan turned on the TV. The breaking news banner flashed. Cole Bennett resigns as CEO amid scandal, facing criminal charges. Lily closed her eyes, whispering, "Justice doesn't need vengeance. It just needs truth." She turned toward her children, who were asleep in their cribs, and tucked the blanket around them. But across town, as Cole stepped back from his balcony railing, his last words drifted into the night. "If I'm going down, I'm taking her story with me." And somewhere, deep inside the dark, a spark of danger still flickered. The morning of the press conference, Manhattan pulsed with tension. Reporters gathered in front of the courthouse, their cameras trained on the podium flanked by American flags. Headlines had already declared the storm. Cole Bennett indicted on 37 counts of fraud and conspiracy. But what everyone really waited for was Lily Hartman, the woman who had brought the empire to its knees. Inside the courthouse lobby, Lily adjusted her black blazer, her hands trembling slightly. Ethan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You don't owe them a show," he said quietly. "You just owe them the truth." Jai. Naomi, flipping through her legal notes, added, "And remember, this isn't just about Cole. It's about every woman who's been silenced by men like him." Lily met her reflection in the glass door, not the frightened wife from months ago, but a survivor, a mother, a name no longer tainted. "Then let's finish this," she said. The doors opened. Flashes exploded like lightning. The crowd surged forward. Lily stepped to the podium, Ethan and Naomi standing behind her. The hum of murmurs died down as she faced the sea of lenses. "Good morning," she began. "For over a year, my life has been torn apart by lies, not just personal, but corporate. Today, justice begins to rebuild what deceit destroyed." She held up a folder marked Hartman Foundation records. "Every cent in my mother's trust has been accounted for. Every accusation against me was fabricated by Cole Bennett, who used fear as a tool and money as a weapon." A reporter shouted, "Ms. Hartman, do you have proof?" "Yes," she said, voice unwavering. "You'll find every document uploaded publicly as of this morning. Transparency isn't optional for me anymore. It's survival." The crowd buzzed. Naomi nodded approvingly. Ethan watched her, pride softening his features. Lily continued, "But this isn't just my story. It's about anyone who's been told they're too emotional, too fragile, too small to fight back. Dignity doesn't come from perfection. It comes from persistence." Shin Freund. The applause that followed wasn't polite. It was thunderous. Moments later, the district attorney stepped forward to confirm the charges. Cole Bennett had been formally indicted and would face trial within the month. But just as Lily started to step away from the podium, chaos erupted. A man in a dark coat broke through the barricade, yelling her name. Security moved instantly, tackling him to the ground. Reporters screamed, cameras flashing. Lily froze, heart pounding. Naomi shielded her, but Ethan grabbed her arm and pulled her back toward the courthouse steps. "Who was that?" Lily gasped. A security officer radioed, "We've got him. ID says Mason Carter, former private security for Bennett Holdings." Lily's blood ran cold. "Mason." Ethan's expression darkened. "Cole's enforcer." Inside the police van, Mason struggled against cuffs, shouting, "He's not done. He said the story's not over." 2. Lily stared as the van doors slammed shut, sirens wailing into the distance. The press swarmed again, shouting questions, but Ethan guided her away. Back inside, Naomi exhaled shakily. That could have gone bad fast. Lily leaned against the marble wall, breath trembling. "He's trying to scare me. Even from the shadows, he wants control." Ethan looked her straight in the eye. "Then take it back, all of it. You've told the truth, now live it. Let him rot with his lies." Bide. Later that evening, the footage of the conference aired on every major network. The image of Lily standing tall against the flashing chaos became iconic. Tweets flooded social media. Truth has a face. In her apartment that night, Lily held her children close as they drifted to sleep. For the first time in years, she felt peace. The noise of the city outside sounded like applause, but somewhere in a dim jail cell, Cole Bennett smirked at the news broadcast. "She thinks it's over," he murmured. "But the story ends when I say it does." And under the table, a guard slipped him a phone, glowing with one unread message. Winter returned to Manhattan with gentle snow instead of storms. The trial had ended. Cole Bennett was convicted on all counts. And for the first time in 2 years, the world stopped whispering Lily Hartman's name in pity. They said it now with respect. The woman who rose again. On a crisp December morning, sunlight spilled across Brooklyn Bridge. Inside the river caf, warm light glowed over white roses and glass chandeliers. The scent of vanilla and cedar filled the air. Guests spoke in hushed tones, waiting for the bride. Naomi adjusted her gown in the dressing room, grinning. "You realize the whole country's watching this wedding, right? CNN, Vogue, everyone." Lily laughed softly. "I'm not marrying for the headlines. I'm marrying for peace." Bye. Her reflection in the mirror was calm. Hair pinned simply, gown satin and timeless. Around her neck hung her mother's pendant, the one engraved with courage. "This is for her," she whispered. Outside, Ethan March stood at the altar, overlooking the East River. He looked different now. Lighter. Freer. The gray in his eyes wasn't sorrow anymore. It was home. Beside him, Gus Hale smiled quietly. The man who had once been the gatekeeper to Lily's past, now standing as witness to her future. As the music began, the doors opened. Lily stepped in. The entire room rose to its feet. Her steps were steady, deliberate, like she was walking not just toward love, but toward redemption itself. When she reached Ethan, he whispered, "You look like peace." She smiled. "And you look like everything after it." The officiant spoke softly over the hush of the river outside. "You've both endured storms most never could. Today, you don't promise perfection, you promise presence." Hauling. Lily squeezed Ethan's hand. "Presence is all I ever wanted." They exchanged vows written by hand, signed with the same Mont Blanc pen that once sealed her divorce papers. A symbol of endings reborn as beginnings. "I don't promise to protect you from pain," Ethan said, "but I promise to stand beside you when it comes." "And I don't promise a perfect love," Lily replied. "Only an honest one, built from scars, not illusions." 1. When the officiant declared, "You may kiss the bride," the crowd erupted in applause. Cameras flashed, but this time Lily didn't flinch. She leaned in and kissed Ethan softly, the world blurring around them. Naomi wiped her eyes. "Damn it, I swore I wouldn't cry." Gus chuckled. That's what happens when justice turns romantic. Outside, snow began to fall, light, almost cinematic. As they stepped into the open courtyard, reporters shouted questions. "Miss Hartman, what's next?" Lily looked up at the sky. "Next?" She smiled. "Life. Finally, just life." Ethan wrapped his arm around her as photographers captured the moment. "You know," he said quietly, "your story's going to be taught in business ethics classes one day." Lily laughed. "I hope they skip the crying parts." "No," he said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "That's the part that made everyone believe." "Jou?" Later that evening, at the reception, she held her triplets as they danced beneath the soft glow of fairy lights. Ava tugged her veil. Jack tried to grab the microphone. The guests laughed, and the music swelled. When the night ended, Lily stood alone for a moment, looking out at Manhattan's skyline reflected on the river, the same skyline that had once watched her crumble. She whispered to herself, "I made it home." Tai. But as she turned to go back inside, a waiter clearing glasses handed her a folded note with no return name. Inside, in block letters, it read, "He didn't do it alone." The paper trembled in her hand as the snow kept falling. Snow blanketed the city like a clean slate. 2 months had passed since the wedding, and Manhattan finally felt gentle again. In her Upper West Side townhouse, Lily Hartman, now Lily March, watched her 3 children chase each other around the living room while Ethan hung their wedding photo on the wall. The golden afternoon light reflected on the frame, catching the soft smiles frozen in time. "Perfect," Ethan said, stepping back. "Now it feels like home." Lily smiled, curling up on the couch with a cup of tea. "It finally does." "Well?" The triplets squealed as Ava tripped over a toy truck, and Lily rushed over, laughter filling the air. The sound no longer carried tension, it carried peace. The woman who once signed her name through tears now signed permission slips for preschool. The skyline beyond her window wasn't a reminder of pain anymore. It was a view of survival. Naomi dropped by that afternoon with a box of documents. "Guess what?" she said, placing it on the table. "The foundation just received federal status. You're now an official nonprofit across the U.S." Lily grinned. "From courtroom trauma to corporate registration. That's poetic." Naomi winked. "You did this, Lil. No headlines, no scandals. Just work, compassion, and guts." Ethan poured coffee for all three of them. And let's not forget, she single-handedly turned her story into a movement. Number. Dignity is Power has raised millions. Lily rolled her eyes. "I didn't start a movement. I just stopped apologizing." They laughed. The conversation drifted to holiday plans, donations, and the trip they'd take to the Hamptons in spring. For once, life was ordinary, and that made it extraordinary. But when Naomi left and the kids were asleep, Lily found herself standing by the window, staring at the skyline again. That note from the wedding still sat in her nightstand. He didn't do it alone. She hadn't told Ethan. She wanted peace, not paranoia. But every few nights, that single sentence whispered through her thoughts. "Thinking again?" Ethan asked softly, stepping behind her. She turned and smiled. "Just remembering." He wrapped his arms around her. "You can remember and still move forward." "I know," she said quietly. "But part of me wonders if Cole really acted alone. He was smart, but not that smart." Ethan kissed the top of her head. "If there's more to uncover, it'll come out. But don't let ghosts steal today from you." She nodded, exhaling slowly. "You're right. Today matters." Shoo. The next morning, Lily met Gus Hale at his office for final sign-offs on estate matters. Papers lined his desk, neat and precise. "Everything looks good," he said, adjusting his glasses. "Except for one small item, an anonymous deposit to the trust fund 6 years ago. No signature, no trace. But it doubled the assets." Lily frowned. "Anonymous?" "Yes," Gus said thoughtfully. "Whoever it was, they wanted to keep you safe before all this began." She smiled faintly. "Maybe some angels wear suits." By evening, the townhouse glowed with laughter and warmth. Ethan was reading to the kids by the fire. Lily folded blankets nearby. The world outside was cold, but inside, life was soft again. As the fireplace crackled, she opened her journal and wrote, "To the woman, I was the day I signed those papers. You were broken, but you still walked away. That's courage. You lost everything, and somehow you found yourself. You're home now." She closed the journal and looked at her family, the only ending she ever needed. The camera of life, if it were a movie, would have pulled back then. Manhattan glowing like a constellation, snow falling slow and endless, children's laughter echoing softly through the windows. But as the credits of peace rolled quietly across the skyline, a final image lingered: a man in a gray coat standing across the street, watching the townhouse lights flicker. He smiled faintly and whispered, "Phase 2, complete." Then he vanished into the snow. Troll VT contend try. UVU KNHLDNI. So, that's how our story finally comes to an end. Quite a journey, right? If you're still here, listening until this very moment, then something in Lily's story must have touched you. Maybe a memory, maybe a quiet strength you forgot you had. Life breaks us in ways we don't always understand. But as Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The obstacle is the way." Every fall, every heartbreak, every betrayal becomes the very path that shapes us. Lily's journey wasn't just about revenge or success. It was about reclaiming peace, about remembering that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means transforming pain into power. Like the Stoics said, what stands in the way becomes the way. And maybe that's what we all need to hear, that our worst moments can still lead us home. So, my friend, if you're still here, maybe it's time to start your own comeback story. If Lily's strength reminded you of yours, hit that like button, share this story with someone who needs hope tonight, and subscribe, because we're building a place where broken hearts learn to rise again. Your story isn't over yet, it's just beginning.